Hi everyone, welcome back to Noctis Gaming. In today's video, we'll be looking at the Xenocides of the Ghoul Stars. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Next week, we'll be looking at the Diasporix campaign. There are regions of the galaxy that even the Imperium does not fully understand. Places where stars burn dim, where navigation fails, where entire expeditions vanish without trace. The Ghoul Stars were one such region. Long before the Great Crusade arrived, they were avoided, feared, but then forgotten. The Emperor's vision left no room for darkness. No corner of the galaxy would remain unexplored. No threat would remain unchallenged. And so, the Crusade went there. The Ghoul Stars lay on the fringes of known space, a region of dead systems, ancient stellar remains, and drifting grave worlds. Astropathic communication became unreliable. Warp travel grew unstable. Even the Astronomicum seemed distant, dimmed. Expeditionary fleets reported an overwhelming sense of unease. Ships malfunctioned without clear cause. Crew members spoke of shadows moving through the void, of signals that could not be traced, of something watching. Still, the Crusade pressed on, because it had to. The first worlds encountered appeared abandoned. Human settlements, long lost during Old Night, reduced to ruins. No sign of battle, no sign of evacuation, only silence and decay. Then the bodies were found. Not destroyed, not consumed, but altered, twisted into shapes that defied natural biology. Some fused with machinery, others stretched, distorted, as though reality itself had bent around them. The Imperium realized it was not dealing with a conventional Xenos species. This was something else. The entities encountered in the Ghoul Stars were never fully classified. Imperial records remain fragmented, deliberately censored. What little survivors described multiple forms of life, if they could be called that. Creatures that moved between dimensions, organisms that existed partly within the warp, entities that did not obey physical law. Some reports describe vast drifting intelligences that infested entire star systems. Others speak of smaller, parasitic forms that infiltrated living hosts. There was no single enemy. The Ghoul Stars were not home to a species. They were home to an ecosystem of nightmares. The Imperium responded as it always did, with force. Worlds deemed irredeemable were subjected to exterminatus. Entire systems were sterilized. Orbital bombardments burned continents to ash. Astartes legions deployed in force, purging anything that moved, and much that did not. But unlike previous wars, victory was unclear. There were no defined battle lines, no central authority to destroy. Each world presented a different horror. Each system revealed new forms of corruption. The term Xenocide was used not because the Imperium understood its enemy, but because total annihilation was the only viable response. The Ghoul Stars consumed more than worlds. They consumed fleets. Entire expeditionary forces disappeared. Ships entered systems and never returned. Astropathic distress calls ended in static, or something worse. Fragments of corrupted messages were recovered, voices distorted, coordinates that led nowhere. Some vessels were later found drifting at the edge of the region, empty, or worse, not empty at all. What happened within those ships remain unknown. The Legiones Astartes, the greatest warriors of the Imperium, found themselves facing an enemy that could barely comprehend. Bolters and blades remained effective, sometimes. Other times, they passed harmlessly through shifting forms. Enemy entities appeared and vanished without warning. Time itself seemed unstable in certain systems. Battles lasted minutes or days, depending on perspective. Even the Space Marines, engineered for absolute warfare, struggled to adapt. This was not war as they understood it. This was survival within a hostile reality. Though the Imperium truth denied superstition, the events within the Ghoul Stars hinted at something deeper, something tied to the warp. Not chaos as it would later be understood, but something adjacent, something older. The boundary between realspace and the Imperium seemed thin there, fragile, torn in places. Whether the entities of the Ghoul Stars originated from the warp or had merely been shaped by it remains unknown. But one truth became unavoidable. The galaxy was not governed solely by physical laws, and humanity was not alone in ways it could easily understand. Eventually, the Crusade made a decision. Not a declaration of victory, not a claim of conquest, but something far rarer: withdrawal. The Ghoul Stars were not conquered. They were contained, marked, and avoided. Navigation routes were altered to bypass the region. Records were sealed, information restricted. The Imperium did not speak openly of what it encountered there, but it could not explain it either. And what cannot be explained cannot be controlled. The Xenocides of the Ghoul Stars left no triumph, no great victory to celebrate, no empire reclaimed, only questions. What truly lived within that region? How many forms of life had been destroyed or had escaped? How much of what was encountered still remained? The Crusade moved on, but the memory lingered. Reminder that some parts of the galaxy were not meant to be understood. The Ghoul Stars were not the first time the Imperium would face such horrors. Further campaigns would follow, worse wars, more devastating losses, conflicts so destructive that even their records would be erased. Among them, one would stand above all others. A war so catastrophic, the entire legions would be shattered. A war so secret that even its name would be spoken only in fragments. The Rangdang Xenocides. But those events were still to come, and the Imperium, though blooded, continued its march into the unknown. The Great Crusade was built on certainty, on the belief that humanity could understand the galaxy and master it. But in the Ghoul Stars, that certainly faltered, because some regions of space are not empty, some are not dead, some are simply waiting.